Dua perempuan Yahudi kecam UN Woman. Linor Abergil adalah mantan Miss World yang menjadi korban pemerkosaan.
I woke up in public by my personal experience 25 years ago. I remember the warm embrace of the international women's organizations. I felt I had support, that someone believed me, that someone listened to me. Is this organization demand any proof then? Did they question my version? Did they ask to conduct a comprehensive investigation before jumping to conclusions? No. How convenient it was at that time for these organizations to use my name, my fame, to invite me to their conferences that are in word of their own, to take a photo with the woman who became for them a symbol. And how ashamed, so ashamed I feel that I was nothing but an extra in their production. Why? Because today, in these conferences, they don't want to present the blood stains on the pants, the broken pelvises, the discredited bodies of my sisters, the bloodthirsty Hamas terrorists, even documenting their war crimes. And still, most of women organizations are silent. It took almost 2 months for the UN to publish this weekend, late at night, a weak condemnation. The horrific testimonies we have witnessed so far, and which we have been presented in this conference, should have awoken women organizations long ago, and get them to stand up with us in solidarity. But so far, this has not happened because of their cowardice, because of petty politics. In the place I grew up, there is an old saying, "Sheket u refesh." Silence is despicable. The women who were raped and murdered on October 7th will may be silent forever, but justice will be done. Truth shall prevail. We will never forget them. And we will make sure that the world will never forget them. We will be the voice that was taken away from them. Thank you very much.
Mandana Dayani adalah seorang Yahudi Iran yang terusir dari Iran dan sekarang menjadi seorang aktivis perempuan dan tinggal di Amerika.
As a feminist and activist, I have stood shoulder to shoulder with women my entire adult life. Women who look like me and women who don't. Together, we were the first to sign Me Too. We marched at the original women's marches. We advocated for the safe return of the girls kidnapped by Boko Haram. We joined the calls to end Asian hate and Islamophobia. We supported Black Lives Matter. We campaigned for LGBTQ rights. We spent months protesting for women life freedom. We flew to the US-Mexico border to demand the reunification of families. We fought to protect our democracy. But then, on October 7th, I suddenly found myself completely alone. The champions I had stood next to so many times through so many injustices just disappeared. I was heartbroken and abandoned. Peers, friends, universities, and fellow leaders who still remain silent. You have made the deliberate choice to look the other way. You saw the videos, you saw the photos, many recorded and live streamed by the terrorists themselves on our feeds. You know exactly what happened to these girls, and yet you turned away. You ignored our pleas to bring the hostages home. You didn't participate in our campaigns. You didn't hold signs. You didn't march. You didn't wear the t-shirts. You didn't sign the letters. When our women's mouths were bound and gagged, you chose not to be their voice. UN Women, it took you 50 days to condemn this gender-based violence and another 7 to utter a single word about the terrorists that perpetrated them. When we commit to speaking out for women and girls, that means all women and girls. When we said believe women, we meant all women. So if you ignore the very clear and obvious violation of just these innocent women and girls, or worse, when you twist propaganda to dare justify it, then you are politicizing their pain. You are denying their stories. You are stating that their rights are undeserving and that their suffering is unworthy of your protection, and you are complicit in emboldening their perpetrators who must be held to account. Showing moral leadership does not require you to just pick a team and ignore the brutal contours of the real world. Moral leadership does require you to see these women and all women. It is not your job to choose sides between them. It is your job to stand on their side. Now, the United Nations has a very long history of singling out the state of Israel, but I am not here to justify the need for a Jewish homeland or defend its right, our right to exist. Because today, these brave people before you, this is about the women and the girls. And for their sake, it is time that the United Nations opens its eyes and does its job. It is time that my fellow leaders It is time that my fellow leaders, activists, and communities that have still remained silent open their hearts. You must not turn away from women who have been raped and massacred in the most horrific fashion simply because you dislike their government. Why is it that you cannot summon up your compassion for them? Why is it that you cannot find your voice to speak up for them? What is it about these women and girls that makes them so unworthy of your otherwise limitless capacity for outrage, solidarity, and justice? Once again, I'm afraid the reason is quite simple. Because they're Jews. If that is not the case, then now is the time to prove it. Join us. Speak up. Condemn the barbaric violence by Hamas against women and girls. I need you. We need you. These women and girls need you. As a child, standing outside the park, I remember looking straight into the evil eyes of those monsters. I was terrified. I knew those men would get away with anything they did that morning. I knew I had to remain silent. But I don't anymore. And neither do you. Please hold these monsters accountable. Denounce these war crimes, and always believe all women. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandana Dayani, for these important words. It is indeed baffling to see the striking difference between the staunch advocacy of women's rights across the globe and how Israeli women are somehow left out of this same conversation.
Bebaskan Sandra sekarang juga tanpa syarat. Salam damai dari Fakta Israel.